So I've had a lot of people contacting me, asking me about objective well-being. They're wanting to know what my foundation is for a moral system because, oh well, without God, there's no morality. I don't know how that works exactly. Aren't you just like I just had one goofball message me? Well, without a God, you have no foundation for any kind of moral beliefs. It's all just relative and preference based. Right out of Andrew Wilson, that goofball idiot, in his retarded playbook, which is, of course, just an argument from authority. My God says that you are evil if you do X, Y, Z. And that X, Y, and Z is wrong and it are sins. Right. And do you have evidence that there's a God? No. So it's just made up. It's wishful thinking. And do you have evidence that you'd have to prove there was a God before you could actually prove that any of these so-called moral teachings came from that God. Even if you could prove that there was a God, how would you be able to prove that these moral lessons came from a God? That specific God. Aren't there like thousands of gods? I mean, which one's right? Mine! It says everybody that believes in a God. So how do you prove it? You can't. I mean, unless you start to question the fundamental nature of reality, and you have to start redefining stuff like truth and evidence, and then, of course, you're becoming a relativist yourself to try and prove what you claim is an objective moral truth, like Andrew Wilson, who's a moron, and he tries to get you to follow him down these absurd, contradictory rabbit holes that are ultimately self-defeating. So, where's the objective moral standard then if there's no God? Well, it's based on well-being. What do I mean by that? Well, it's pretty obvious. So, say that I want to whack off your arm with a sword. Is that bad? It would be bad for you and your well-being. Well, realist, I want you to whack off my arm. I get off on the pain, and it's actually pleasure for me, and it really, really turns me on. Would you be able to work? Nah. Would you probably become homeless because your job requires two hands? Yeah. Would you be able to get disability and then not go homeless? Yeah, that takes like a year. And even then, I'm one-handed, so there's lots of jobs that could be done one-handed, even if I couldn't do them. The government says I could. So, is that good for you? Objectively? No, it's bad for you objectively. But subjectively, I love it. I like disability. I like having one arm. And I enjoy and I will enjoy the 10 seconds of, pain that occurs when you lock my arm off. Because I got wires crossed in my head. Pain is pleasure to me. Is that good for you? Well, subjectively, yes. What about objectively? Are there actual objective metrics that we can use to measure what is good and bad for you? Absolutely. But of course, people like Andrew Wilson and other goofball, moron, religious zealot idiots that love mysticism and superstition and don't want to think for themselves, and they can't handle, existing in a universe where there isn't some kind of sky daddy in their mind. Yeah, they'll reject that and say, well, that's all subjective. It's all subjective and relativistic. No. If I lop off your arm, is that good for you? No, it's not good for you. You may feel it's good for you, but that's a subjective metric. What about in the objective world? Can we measure well-being objectively? Absolutely. Absolutely. Now we have to define our terms. What is well-being? That which is good for you in objective reality. What's good? So you think this is the problem? This is the problem. The people on the religious side will 100%, people like Andrew Wilson, who is most certainly, allegedly, in my opinion, an industry plant. Controlled op shill. He gets pushed too much, too big, too soon. I made a video about all of this. You can check my channel. He'll tell you, people like him, well, yeah, there's objective reality and truth, except for God. See, I make it a special pleading argument. God is excused from that, as is morality. Now, morality can only exist with God. No God, no morality, no objective morality anyway, and everything is just preference-based, right? But what I believe isn't preference-based. Well, wait a second. Do you have any evidence that this God exists? No. Since you can't prove that this God exists, you can't prove that any of these moral teachings came from any kind of Grand Poobah Sky Daddy, authority, creator of everything. So, I'm confused. What's your justification for these moral teachings? Because I believe this came from a God's. By the way, even if they did come from some infallible being, you'd have to prove that as well, that this being was infallible. How exactly? Yeah, you'd have to prove that. How do you prove infallibility? You'd first have to prove the being exists. Then you'd have to prove the being was infallible. I don't know. So it's just a belief. It's a preference. It's also preference-based for you. Of course, the truth of the matter is that many of the moral teachings that Christians and Hindus and Muslims and all these people believe from varying religions are just based on objective reality and well-being within objective reality, that which is good for us. So let me explain. Maybe lopping off is a bit reductivist, lopping off limbs. Let's get a little more middling in complexity. So let's say that I want to steal from you. And let's say everybody decides, hey, let's make theft legal. Let's stop making theft illegal so we can take other people's shit. Great. Ooh, yeah, ooh. Now, we know the commies love this because that's what they're pushing, right? Redistribution, no property rights, so it's a free-for-all. Take whatever you want. You want your next-door neighbor's crap, well, suddenly that crap ain't his no more, so it's okay to take it because no such thing as property rights, right? You own nothing to be happy. Although that's not quite what Klaus Schwab meant. What he really meant was, I'll own everything, and you'll be happy that I do. And if you don't like that I own everything, well, I'll just shoot you in the head or put you in a concentration camp or something. And make you eat bugs all day. While I feast on salmon and AAA grade steak. So, so we all get together, 51% of the population, because in my imaginary world, in my thought experiment, we live in a pure democracy, not a constitutional republic. Although even then, a constitutional republic could be made into such a state where theft was legal and even encouraged if enough people got together and elected people who were pro-theft, and then those people voted that into law in the legislature. But anyway, so even a constitutional republic is not immune from such kind of gerrymandering. It's just a bit more difficult to do democratically. I don't like democracy. But anyway, let's continue. So we all decide, hey, let's make it legal to just take from other people. Theft is now not theft because there's no property rights, so you have no right to your stuff. Well, what happens? Everybody's stealing from everybody else, and you have no property. And the strongest mofos end up with everything. And then you have nothing. And you need to be happy. Does that sound good? Is that good for you? No, it's crap. It's not good for you. The fruits of your labor are literally getting taken, so now you have no incentive to produce anything, so nothing gets produced, and then everybody dies because there's nothing. No food, no water, no nothing. Well, it's bad for your well-being, being dead. So there you go. Morality. It's really not complicated. I've tried to talk about this in the past. People just don't want to grasp it because my Sky Daddy and, my entire idea of self, my self-image, it's all wrapped up in this religious, superstitious, mystical gobbledygook. And so, I followed this superstitious, mystical gobbledygook my whole freaking life. So if I now acknowledge that objective well-being has been there all along, and that's what my whole entire religious system's moral foundation is built upon, then, well, geez, I've kind of wasted a lot of my life believing in something I didn't really need to believe in. So what's my justification for believing in a God? It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. I look around, I see all these actions, I see what seems to be, ingrained, morally correct behavior by my own ideological worldview. And don't kid yourself, religion is ideology, the worst kind. It's dogmatic in nature, always, right? Because it comes from an absolute authority. That's not so good, depending on what the messaging is. But anyway, I look around, I see all of this these moral goods, this behavior that by my own beliefs is right and correct. And so, then my God exists because my God says all this stuff is good. Oh, wow. Because people do this, they don't even need to be taught. Look at this. They seem to somehow know that that's right and that's wrong. So and my religion says that's because God ingrained it into their heart, and so my God exists. See how circular that is? Argumentatively? Yeah. But the truth of the matter is, religion and its so-called moral prescriptions, its observations are just nothing. Its teachings is nothing more than objective well-being. That's it. Now, you might not like it, but that's what it is. Objective morality is based on well-being, which is objective. And you can go through the list. Would murder be good? How about we push murder? Unaliving. How about we push unaliving on everybody? Hey, let's make it, okay, let's take away the prohibition on unaliving other people. Let's not make it, let's make it legal. Let's remove the prohibition. It's not illegal anymore to unalive other people. What happens? Everybody's going to start unaliving everybody else, including you. Now, you might have initially pushed for making unaliving legal, or at least removing the prohibition so that it's not illegal. All right, because there was somebody that you wanted to unalive. Ooh, yeah, I hate that mofo. Let's unalive that SOB. But then somebody killed you before you could kill them. Uh-oh! Turns out, making unaliving legal isn't good for you. Imagine that, because there might be somebody out there that wants to unalive you, and if there's no actual consequence, guess what? You'll get unalived. Same goes for theft. Make theft acceptable, you have nothing. So you have no incentive to build wealth. And then nobody has anything because there's nothing to have, right? And then you starve. Or go thirsty. Both, really. It's pretty simple. Why people don't understand this, I think it's purposeful ignorance, because they just can't give up the ideas that they've devoted the entirety of their life to, right? And there are many people out there that don't understand how meaning and purpose work in life, and they also don't see how they could have those things without some kind of sky deity. Meanwhile, it's just make-believe. And these are the same people who, by the way, if you tell them, well, gnomes might exist, and there could be elves and pixies. You don't know. I believe in gnomes and pixies. They'd look at you like you were nuts. They would look at you like you were friggin' insane. Oh, geez, well, you're a nut job, ain't you? Meanwhile, I'm running around saying I'm talking to God. I have a relationship with Sky Daddy, and my Sky Daddy, he speaks to me. Directly? There are some nut jobs out there that think they hear him. But no, he whispers to my heart and guides me through life and tells me what to do via fifis. What? You sound insane. But that's religious people. That's how they talk. These are the things they believe. These are the things they believe. And everything they see is confirmation in a sort of circular argument that they're right. Right. My religion teaches this, and look, people are doing this, and they was never taught this, and they just know it seems intrinsic, so Sky Daddy real. It's a logical fallacy, but you can't apply logic to God. He exists outside of space and time. Well, then how the hell do you know he exists? It crashes the CPU. Oh, when you point out these obvious contradictions. And of course, you have idiots like Andrew Wilson running around and others who pretend to be very logical people who have critical thinking skills. But when it comes to their religion, it's all about a special pleading argument. Well, man, my religion, my beliefs in God, they're exempt. You see, God's exempt from all the rules and all the logic and reason that I use and apply to everything else because, my God, isn't that convenient? Yet when somebody comes to you and tells you, hey, I believe in leprechauns and gnomes, you're like, well, there's no evidence for that. That's nonsense. Are you for real? Are you for real? So I tell you I believe in Bigfoot, and you look at me like I'm nuts. And by the way, there's more evidence for Bigfoot than there is for a God. At least people have seen Bigfoot, yo. Yeah, I'm sure most of those cases are just some dude running around in a gorilla suit wearing a size 27 fake big feet so that you leave these gigantic footprints in the mud to convince morons that Bigfoot exists, of which I would be one if I believed in Bigfoot, yet a Sky Daddy that created all existence, even though Sky Daddy doesn't need to exist to explain existence. It's just I don't know, so my God. So an argument from incredulity or ignorance. Oh, well, that's okay. That's normal. But you believe in a Bigfoot? No. That's silly. What are you, stupid? Whoa! Hello! You need some self-awareness there, pal? It's idiocy. It's idiocy. You don't need a Godhead figure to have objective moral truth. It's all grounded in well-being anyway. And everything that religion teaches is very easily explained via evolutionary biology in regards to seemingly intrinsic, ingrained on your heart behavior that, where'd that come from? Evolution, baby. Just like a man's preferences for thin chicks instead of fat chicks. And fertile chicks instead of not fertile chicks. It's not real hard to figure this stuff out. But for some reason, people impose this type of ignorance on themselves and they blind themselves because they've been taught that this is the way things are, and so can't be any other way. It's also why I say people don't change. They rarely do. People get stuck in a certain paradigm, and it becomes part of their self-image, who and what they are. How many of us can change that? How many of us can escape the sunken cost fallacy that so many of us hold on to with such vehemence? Oh, God, I've devoted 30, 40 years of my life to believing in this XYZ, in this Sky Daddy dude. And now, well, geez, if I admit he doesn't exist and I have no justification for believing he exists, I find this interesting as well. So many of these people, what's your justification for morality and your moral beliefs? Meanwhile, they've run around believing in something that has absolutely no justification in objective reality for them to believe in. Oh my God! Wow. This is why the world is in such a sorry state. Religion is not a good thing, okay? The problem is that many people, as Andrew the Tard Wilson would call secularists, did away with it without having a replacement. And instead, they embraced a relativistic view of the world while pretending to embrace an objective one. And that's where we're at now, with idiots like, what was that one guy? Matt Dillahunty, that dude that rage quit because, he's, sucking off a dude and, he didn't like his dudette, pretender, schlong, wielding lover, being, called a freak. So he stormed out. That was funny, I'll admit. Of course, that's a pretty low-hanging fruit, Matt Dillahunty. These are the kind of people we have as moral arbiters, and they're, of course, also controlled-op shills. People like myself, you won't hear from, and YouTube will algorithmically suppress, because I speak truth. And truth that is obvious to me, but I understand a lot of people out there are lacking IQ points, and they just don't get it, and trying, let alone grasping, an understanding of objective well-being, although to me it seems rather simplistic. I know to them it ain't, and they just don't want to in most cases. They're heavily resistant because it challenges their self-image, which is heavily bound up with, in many cases, religious beliefs. Anyway, that's my view. That's my short little introduction to morality and how it is based in objective well-being. So you don't need a sky daddy to justify your moral beliefs, your moral system, and all of the supposed teachings of Jesus Christ and the Christian Catholic Church are all based on well-being, objective well-being, nothing more. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The golden rule. It's all based in objective well-being. Anyhow, I am the realist philosopher. I wish you all a good, pleasant day. Hit that notification icon. Leave a comment. Follow me for more brilliant insights. And on that note, I wish you all a good and pleasant day. Take care.